few that I have not met. And I think we all have to prove that we are recording this session this morning for the benefit of those who won't be able to make it today. And again, my name is Jan Smith, and I'm just going to moderate the meeting today. For those of you who I've not met, I have been here in the Temecula Valley for about 23 years. I have a human resource and operations consulting business. I work primarily with the hospitality and tourism industry for most of their HR needs. And I'd like to introduce our speakers today as well. So Laura, I'll start with you. It looks like you're in the car, so I'm hoping you're safe. Laura,
the car is not moving. The car is not moving. Yeah.
That makes me feel so much better.
Oh yeah, I would never. Oh gosh, no. Yeah.
Laura is currently the Vice President of Human Resources for Wilson Creek Winery. So I'm sure each one of you have had that opportunity to visit that wonderful winery. And as an HR professional with over 15 years experience in multiple HR roles, Laura's been responsible for ensuring all employees have a positive experience, feeling intrinsically fulfilled from the moment they read the posting to a new position and they start with her organization, and even through retirement, because I guess you've had some retirements in your day with the organization. And she's got a big group of people, so she's going to be able to share a lot of good ideas on the way that she's handled just the last 2 years and even the best practices going forward. But she has been skilled with both large corporate and small business models. She's very diplomatic and tactful, and she thinks that her top strength is to truly connect with others. And you can't be working at Wilson Creek HR without all of those skills.
Right.
She feels like her biggest accomplishments have been policy and process implementations, employee relations, engagement, and public training and public speaking, and change management. She shares her life with her 6-year-old son and husband, and she loves reality TV. I didn't know that about you. So thanks for sharing that. Yeah. And thank you for helping us out. Laura and Angela are both part of an HR group that we have here in the Temecula Valley that meet for years. And so we've been able to really forge a lot of great relationships with that. So with that, I want to also introduce Angela. And Angela is currently the Director of People and Culture for Wedgwood Weddings. And maybe you don't know what that is. I'll explain in a moment. But she handles all things people and HR, anything that's related, which is just about everything that when you have an employee that both of these ladies deal with. And the company currently operates 50 wedding and event venues in 6 different states. So she's going to have perspective on, if any of you that are on the call have other state business as well. She might be able to answer some questions you might have from that perspective with recruiting. Prior to that, she was with Ponte Winery, and she was the HR manager for 2 years there, which was 2 years meant 10 years, right? That experience is any winery experience. So really, Laura, you've been there 5, but 50.
Like dog years.
Yeah, it's dog years. But previously to that, Angela was with Radio Shack in different operations, both HR and operational roles, for 16 years. So these ladies collectively have great experience that they're going to bring to the table. And also Angela, she's lived here since 2001, when she shares it with her husband and 2 boys. So I wish I could say I share it with my kids, but they're all grown and I have a grandchild now. So there you go. Life goes on. Even though I've been down here all these years, they've moved on and decided they didn't want to return to Temecula after college. Go figure. I was hoping they would. So thank you all for joining us. I don't know the companies that you're with. I recognize a few of you. And so I'm hoping that we could very quickly if you could introduce your name and your company. So these Zoom calls, we've all done these for 2 years. But when we meet in person, we'll sit next to somebody and we forge a relationship in a matter of an hour. And before you know it, you're giving them a call because, they are just something, there's something about them that you think you would benefit in your own company. And so if it would be helpful, just your name, And we'll start with Michelle, who's up in the corner, at least on my screen. So if you wouldn't just let us know your name and the company that you're working with.
My name is Michelle Lindsay. I work for Visit Temecula Valley. I'm the partner service manager, and I'm excited to be here today.
Thank you. All right, we'll go across. I think it's Brooke. Go ahead.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Brooke Nunn. I am President CEO of the Temecula Valley Chamber of Commerce.
And Angela's been introduced. Okay, Jenny, if you would.
Hi, Jenny Shin. I'm with the JDS Law. I practice employment law here in Temecula.
All right, and the gentleman next to her on the screen with the recruit, I think it says.
Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
My name is Paul Rangel. I am CEO of Sofa Spectrum Furniture. We do custom sofas and massage chairs.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know we had that business. All right, the next individual next to you. Thank you. Nice to meet you. Lady in the blue shirt. I'm sorry. I have to call out names this way.
Hi, I'm Wendy Lisovsky with Temecula Valley Communications. We do technology and we're 32-year members of the chamber.
Wendy, I did not recognize you, but we used to be ambassadors together back in the day. Yep, all those days.
Way
so
back.
Nice to see you.
Me too.
All right. And Diane, is this Diane? That's Diane?
It is, yes. Hello.
Yes, hi Diane. Good morning. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Good morning, everyone. Sorry for the camera off. Not quite camera ready yet, but happy Friday. I am Diane from JDS, and I am the founder of the nonprofit and the CEO and president of Video Production and Actor Studio.
Thank you
And
for joining us.
congratulations on your book, Diane.
Oh, thank you so much.
Diane, I did not know you wrote a book. Please just share very quickly because it might be of interest to our group.
Thank you. I wrote a book with my partner in life and business, Scott Strand. It's called Show Business: How to Break into the Industry as an Actor. We've launched well over 100 careers. So if that's something you're looking for, or creative enrichment and positive energy to public speak, it would be the right book for you.
Oh my gosh. And if you wrote it, it has to be good. Thank you, Diane, for sharing that. And I have Robert Sears on a call. Would you like to introduce yourself, Robert?
Yeah, Robert Sears. I'm with Sears Payment Solutions. We handle merchant services for a lot of the local merchants and all over actually Southern California. So if anybody needs payment systems or support with that, I'm here in Temecula to do that.
All right, thank you. And Brooke, maybe you can help me with the last individual that's on the call.
Yes.
Yeah.
Dr. Gloria Tambaga or Cristara Munoz.
Hello, everyone. Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm so sorry. This is not Dr. Gloria. And this is her assistant because she's on travel right now, but she's very interested to attend this workshop. So she just asked me to record this workshop. So hello, everyone. Good morning. Dr. Gloria Tambaga is the owner of Wellness Diagnostics and Med Spa located in Temecula, California, an aesthetic clinic. That's all.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Well, thank you everyone for joining. I suspect you're joining today because you have experienced probably the biggest recruitment challenge in your careers, certainly in the past 2 years. I mean, 2019, we were in the money, right? Everybody was doing good. We had all of our positions filled, and it was easy to find people. But that's not been the story. We just don't know what this year is going to already look like. We just have no idea. If it's any indication, the first couple months, it's about the same in terms of recruiting. So the pandemic definitely has forced us to all look at the way we do things differently, from having remote workers to having in-house and what that means for people and bringing people back into the workplace. There's so many reasons that we have openings today. So I'm going to date myself here with this little story, but back in the 1990s, I worked at the corporate office for Robinsons. It was Robinsons May at the time, a retailer. And given that we were the largest corporate location, we always set the programs for the rest of the chain throughout the nation. And I'll never forget, it was a midweek and I had my general manager come in and she said, I need you to hire about 100 people for Saturday. And this is midweek, it could have been Wednesday, because we've decided we're going to try this thing called a 16-hour sale. And back in the 80s, it just didn't happen like it happens today. They're open 24 hours. But I was quickly calculating how many hours I had to try to find that many people. So my small HR team decided we would call the local schools, and they allowed us to come in the next day. And we did one in the morning, and we did one and when the school was over, we went into the auditorium, marched in there with all of our paperwork, because that's how you did everything back then, paperwork. And I said to the team, if they can fog a mirror, hire them. And basically what I was saying is, if they're breathing, just hire them. I need them. They're temporary. They're one day. They're not going to get any training. That was the story. And I think back to that experience, and that was 40 years ago or so. I think back to that, and we found ourselves in some respects in the last couple of years, the same thing. Somebody walks through the door, you needed somebody because someone just quit or said they weren't coming back, or we didn't want to, work but anything but remote. And, they came in and they fog a mirror, and you hire them because you're desperate. And you always suffer through those stories. And so what I'm hoping for today is that both Laura and Angela will be able to provide some helpful ideas for you. So you don't have to just hire because they fog a mirror, but you're hiring with intention. Because when you hire with intention, you have a much better retention, better service. Everything goes well when you really take the time and you find the right person, not because you're desperate. So hopefully, like I said, we'll be able to answer some good questions. So the way that we decided we were going to set up this workshop, and the remaining 2 workshops, is that we are bringing in HR experts in the local area that are going right through what you're going through as well. And we'll start out with a series of questions that I have shared with the HR individuals, and then we want you to ask questions on top of that. So if they're answering a question and you want to follow up that, please just raise your hand. I'll call on you, and that way we don't have any talkovers, and everybody gets a chance to just ask those questions. And we'll ask a few, and we'll wait for some of the questions that you may have as well, because you're on the call. You might have something specific that they can give you their insight. And as you can see, they have years and years of insight within all kinds of industry. So I'm going to start off with Laura and ask you, what successful tactics are you using to fill both your part-time and your full-time positions? And are they the same tactics for both, considering you have over 200 employees? I suspect, in the hospitality industry, you have some turnover at times in this past couple of years and even going forward. So can you share with this group, what those tactics look like? What's been successful for you?
Yep, definitely. One thing that we started doing approximately, I would say maybe 10 months ago, 11 months ago, is every Monday from noon until 2 p.m., we hold open interviews. That has resulted in such a huge amount of actually qualified candidates. It gives everybody the opportunity to come in, and maybe they come in and they're interested in an event server position, but we think that actually we want to tap them on the shoulder for something in accounting. I mean, you never know who's going to come in. And so we implemented that, like I said, less than a year ago. And the more we advertise that, certainly the larger turnout. But I will say that, I mean, it's been wonderful. So I would recommend, if you have the time and you have the resources, because I know that's a whole other, potential concern is, can I set aside 2 hours? Do I have enough people to cover maybe 5 people walk in at one time? But if you have the ability to do that and recruit your hiring managers to come in and help you with those things, that's something I've never done in the past. And we just thought we got to get quick. We got to go get on our toes. And I went to all the staff meetings, and I said, in all the different daily huddles, and I said, listen, this is what we're doing every Monday, 12 to 2. If you have friends that just really are like, they have that sparkle in their eye that we want everybody at Wilson Creek to have. If you have friends like that and they're interested in working and they're interested in kind of coming out and joining the team, just have them come. It expedites the process so quickly. We do not need to hold, phone screens and then move them on through the process. We will hire them on the spot if we actually feel they're a great fit. So that's definitely one thing. And then the other two things that I'm sure some of us have done already is the retention. So a retention bonus, certainly, and a hiring bonus and a referral bonus for our staff.
Okay.
So a referral bonus for our staff, certainly. So if you're an existing staff member and you refer someone and we end up hiring them, you have the choice of either getting $100 added to your paycheck after 90 days of successful employment of that person, of course, or they can choose a case of wine, which so many people are choosing the case of wine. It's the value of it is so much better. And we are also, offering hiring bonuses. So we'll split them half and half, $500, $250 at the beginning, $250 after a successful 90 days, which actually I guess doubles as a retention bonus. So we've just really gotten creative. Do you know anybody? We're going to pay you for that. Do you know anybody? Bring them in on this time. And we just make ourselves available on HR. So, yeah.
Wow, those are totally creative. I didn't know you had open. I probably would have been promoting that for you, and I will going forward.
I should have told you. Yeah.
No, I don't know if I knew about that. I just hadn't seen it on any of your social or what have you. But that's a really creative idea. So thank you for sharing that. I'm sure I see people writing notes about something like that. That's a great concept. Appreciate that. Angela, do you want to add to that? Is there anything that you do differently that you can share with the group?
We're doing something similar. We have multiple locations, so we'll have a couple venues team up, and we'll post a hiring fair, noon to 2 on a specific day. We only do it one time. We don't have it set consistently when we need people, and then we'll sponsor that on Indeed. So, small $10 sponsorship on some of these ads. It doesn't matter if you throw, on Indeed, $200 at a job posting or $10 at a job posting, you're going to get the same result. By the way, I've found this out over time. So, throw 10 or 15 bucks at it a day. And those have been really successful. We're doing a retention bonus or a referral bonus. So if somebody refers an employee, they join the company after 60 days, we're giving them $250. Those employee referrals are golden. Those people stay longer. They're better employees in general. I will say, so you mentioned full-time and part-time positions. I think one of the things that we've had to really look at is, we have a full-time allowed head count that we're trying to stay at. It's more expensive to hire a full-time employee. However, we have become more flexible with that. So people want benefits. And you have to maybe look at the cost for you as a company. For us, it's about $5,000 a year, for their PTO, their insurance, health insurance, those things. So, if you've got a great person and they're going to stick around for a while, $5,000 a year might be worth it to make them full-time. And for us, full-time is just 30 hours a week. So, we've converted some of those part-time positions to full-time and be able to find better people and retain them better.
Well, those are great ideas as well, because I know people, unless their circumstances is such, they really do want the benefits. Along those lines, what have either one of you done to up the ante on your total compensation package? Are you adjusting wages? Are you adding new benefits? Angela, you mentioned that you are trying to up the hours so someone can get on the benefit package. But have you seen that either one of you have had to just adjust for a competitive perspective, adjust your own benefit package?
Yes.
And when I say total compensation package, we really talk about that from an HR perspective of wage and the benefit package. So Laura, do you want to start in and just any comments on what you've seen or over the last couple of years you've had to do to really, from a retention? I know we're only talking about recruiting today, but it kind of goes all in hand.
It does. And that's where it started for us, is recruitment. So as things got a little dicey out there and it was very difficult to find certain positions, such as line cook, I think a lot of us can feel that pain. Also, non-tipped positions in general were very difficult to find for a very long time. So what we did is we absolutely increased the wages. And I will say that because we were in such a spot that these positions and these people were so needed in the organization that it was almost a no-brainer for us. I mean, the risk of not having that person in that role just did not outweigh that reward of having that person in the role. So we ended up increasing wages across the board, I will say, for every single position. We did that very recently, but I will say back even 10 months ago, I would say approximately the same time we started holding open interviews, we started saying, okay, like, let's actually take a look. Like, we'll drive around town and I'll look and see what people are posting on the doors, like hiring line cooks at 18, or McDonald's is paying 16 or 17 it was. And so we were really taking that information and very quickly making changes. Myself and the CFO worked very closely together and took the information to Bill. And Bill was on board. He just wanted the support. He wanted everybody to have the staff that was necessary. And if that meant we paid more, that's okay. That's okay. We knew we would make up for it on the back end. So yes, wage increases, huge. And I will say almost every single person received one because everything's gone up, not just inflation, but of course, obviously the economy in general, you're going to see that. So for us, yeah, big, and it's great. And everybody loves it for obvious reasons. So it kind of was a twofold, awesome thing to do.
Okay. Angela,
we've increased all of our wage ranges. We did that back in Q4 and then again in January, and then we're just consistently looking at them. I will say, however, I don't think, every where you go has a sign up that says starting at $20 an hour. So I don't think that has really, we have to be competitive. Like, I don't think you need to increase your ranges to try to beat, McDonald's and those other places, because people don't necessarily want to work at McDonald's. So you just have to be paying people, I think, a solid, wage that's competitive, not necessarily, the highest. And then call out the other things about your business that's going to give you an advantage over McDonald's and In-N-Out and places that people don't necessarily want to work. The career path, the fact that it's fun, maybe you've got a flexible work schedule. Calling out those things in our job postings has been even more successful than the increased hourly rate.
Yeah, thank you for that. It was interesting when we first drove by McDonald's and saw the wage, for a starting position, because we knew this was back in latter part of 2020. And you're right, Laura, we started to see how wages have been affected, and they have changed over time. But your idea, Angela, of also including the piece of benefits and career opportunities and things of that nature, I think are very important. So thanks for that feedback. And welcome, Ken. Thank you for joining us. Ken represents Ellis Hospitality. So he has responsibility for the lodging piece here in the Temecula Valley. We've got a lot of employees too. So thanks for joining us on the call today. And he may or may not be in Temecula. We're not sure. You are. Ken often shares Zoom calls from a resort location. We're all sitting drooling when we see him doing that. All right, Angela, I'm going to ask you this call or this question, and that is, a lot of respondents in a recent survey indicated, especially in the higher demand fields like hospitality or technology, say they've turned down an offer because they have a bad experience during the hiring process. And so what do you have in place that makes you an employer of choice amongst your competition? Because you do have competition in multiple states. So what do you do from the hiring process? Just the from start to finish, from posting to making an offer, that you've stepped up the game, if you have at all?
Mm-hmm. So, we've made small changes and tried a few different things. You have to get creative. So whatever your process is, I think you have to realize that might have to change in this environment. So if you've got an application that takes a while, if you haven't done it yourself, do it yourself, because we found there was some holdups. So, we've done some things where we'll do an Indeed posting where people can quick apply and they don't have to do our big, long application. Once you kind of rope them in, then we bring them over and say, we want to hire you, do our big long application. But I think you have to figure out whatever things you can do to work with speed. So if you post a job online, social media, we've used social media a lot more, Instagram stories, the Facebook hiring groups, if you haven't, if you're really needing to put something out there. So, you just got to, whatever you've always done, I think you just have to be flexible to try different things. And then once you put that job up, you have to dedicate 2 hours the next day to contact people and quickly and get them on the phone immediately, because people are taking jobs so fast that if you're prepared to put a job up, you have to be prepared to respond to everybody right away. Otherwise, you're going to lose them pretty quickly. So, starting people, we do a background check for some positions, starting people contingent on that instead of waiting for the results to come back. Because, whatever you can do to shorten your process, I think is going to really help in getting people on board.
Okay, thanks. Yes, you are absolutely right. When I'm recruiting and if I don't get to them in some contact, some way, within really 24 hours, they've already been possibly hired. So yeah, it's an interesting market. Laura, that same question, just as far as anything that that you do so it's not a bad hiring experience, if they have a really good experience from the minute they send their resume out to you and all the way through. Is there anything that you have done to really make yourself an employer of choice? You mentioned a couple of these other things in terms of those bonuses, but how has your recruiting changed in that respect?
Yeah, definitely. So, Angela, I will say I echo almost everything you said. So we've made some changes as to the efficiency of the process, which means that we've also allowed start dates contingent upon passing some of those areas in which we never asked them to, that was never asked of us before. So, for example, we drug test. We just ask that from your start date, which we will get you in fast, next day in some situations, we simply want that drug test taken and passed in the first 3 days after your start date. That's never been done for us. However, 99.9% of the time it's okay and it works out. And so that's actually that's given us some breathing room at times where we desperately did need to bring in a group of people. I would just say that probably one of the differentiators of Wilson Creek in general is that when we bring people in and we interview them, they get a chance to see not only how beautiful the grounds are and what a great place it would be just to it's so peaceful, especially mornings, but they get to see the people that work there and how we interact with each other. When we sit down and we have a new face in front of us, I would recommend as much as you possibly can to allow them to see how you engage with your peers too. So I can sit in an interview and I can be with a director of sales, for example, but it's really interesting to see how people watch your interaction with your peer as two already established employees and see how fun it can be and see the rapport and just see that this is a great place. Like, this doesn't have to be something that, it appears like we don't know each other sitting next to each other. I want them to see that what makes Wilson Creek so special is the people there and how we do interact and how fun we are and how warm and engaging. So I would definitely recommend that as much as you can to portray the culture as quickly as you can. But yeah, everything else that Angela, you said it pretty much on the dot. I mean, we've had to make some pivots and hire quicker and bypass some processes that we get back to in the end, of course.
I like that Laura said fun. I literally put on our banquet server posting, I put the word fun in all capital letters with an exclamation point in the job title, and we got like triple the applications.
Totally.
I mean, it's the smallest, thing, but it just catches people attention.
The tweaks. Thank you. Ken Westmeyer has posed a question, and the question is, how do we overcome? So this is to our two speakers. How do we overcome negative experiences from other entities in our industry? Now, both of you are in the hospitality industry, and I think you're referring, Ken, you can clarify, but I think you're referring to what people's perhaps perceptions are perhaps of our industry, the hospitality industry, and how do we differentiate ourselves as one of the good entities in the job posting recruitment process? So I think, you know, this is, yeah, you probably you didn't see this question to both of Angela and Laura, but we'll both agree that there are in every industry good representatives and those that are not, you know, good neighbors, if you will. And so how do you, you know, you mentioned you put the word fun, but is there anything else either one of you can say that you really just, you're showing that you really are an employer of choice in your particular industry?
Yeah, I think we stopped, you know, for those entry level kind of hospitality type positions, we don't put a job description in the posting anymore. So like, you know, the boring old like job duties, you know, responsibilities and expectations. It's just like a paragraph about what you're going to do here and how you're going to have fun and what we're all about. So the job posting is not the job description anymore for those positions, and that's helped. It's short and sweet and it grabs attention. I think too, if you can get your employees on Glassdoor, you know, everybody does research online before they join your company. So if you can get people, your good employees who are committed to put a Glassdoor review out there for you, people read those. A lot of people read those. So whatever you can do to increase your, you know, online presence, and also like LinkedIn, make sure your employees are on LinkedIn. They're connected to each other. They're commenting on each other's posts and pages. It just shows like a camaraderie and a you know, hey, these are people are connected. So whatever you can do to your online presence, because people look at that before they even, you know, get to you.
Ken, did that answer the question that you were looking for? So I can just throw a 2 cents in there. I have a family member who has a 40-year-old business up in the San Francisco area, and they need some help. And so I'm helping them fill for an administrative assistant, but they have no social media presence. They haven't had to. They're very fortunate. It's their business is solid without it. And so as I'm speaking to candidates, they are asking about it because, of course, the first thing they do is they Google the name, and there's just no social media presence at all. So it's been kind of an interesting experience to have to try to explain myself through or explain the company through you know, the process of it's not necessary for this particular organization. They don't even have a website. So everyone's they're looking for reviews. And so if you didn't think that was happening for your businesses, regardless, whether it's a law firm or manufacturing, hospitality, entertainment, they are looking, and they want to know how you are as an employer. And Glassdoor is not the only review. I think I've seen other reviews. I just don't recall in my head right now what those are, but there are reviews of employees that say, you know, this is the best place to work, or, you know, steer away from this company, and that doesn't help you from a recruiting perspective. So thanks for those suggestions, and thanks, Ken, for the question. All right. I will also,
if I may, I will also say we just launched TikTok. Wilson Creek just launched a TikTok account. And so that's something, you know, you would think, why would we need a TikTok account? But what we're doing is we're showing how much fun we have. So it all goes back to that. People want to like look through the little peephole in the door and see what does it actually like to work there. And so that's one of the ways. Yeah.
Wow, that's great. I don't know how many of you have thought about that, because that's a whole different, it's a medium that certain generations are looking at first before all other social media. And so we use it in the hospitality industry, and it's marketing. It can be a tool for marketing as well. And marketing your position is just as important as marketing your product in some respects when you're trying to fill a position. So thank you for those suggestions. For the two ladies, are you seeing that you are primarily doing Zoom interviews still, or are you bringing them in person? I know, Laura, you mentioned you're open 12 to 2, you know, your Mondays 12 to 2 open interviews, but as a whole, have you switched away from Zoom interviews?
Yeah, we never did.
No,
yeah. Go ahead.
Right.
Go ahead, Laura.
Us and you,
Yeah.
Angela. Yeah, we did
Yeah.
in person.
It's an,
I know.
you know, yeah,
We-
it's an in-person business, so you have to be comfortable
Yep.
coming in for the interview. So I think we do a first initial phone screen. So you get them on the phone quickly, and then when can you come in? And that's shortened. We've shortened the process, but
Yeah. What we're seeing just from statistics is that if an employee or an applicant could get into an organization, you have the way to just hook them into your organization. And the Zoom interview works and it's necessary at times, but there's nothing like an in-person interview. Yeah, it just you're able to really glean their personality. You can see their expertise from the resume, but having them in front of you, there's a chemistry issue you can never, or chemistry phenomenon that you can never do through Zoom. So hopefully we can put that behind us if you're doing Zooms and realize it's better if all around having them in person. All right, another question I have for you is, do you, besides what you mentioned, you both mentioned that you have these social kind of events or just opportunities. Is there anything else you're doing from either like a social side or a networking aside? Do you go out to schools? Do you go out to the culinary organizations or wedding professionals for your positions, Angela? Do you tap in to kind of the networking opportunities, or have you in the last couple of years to find candidates?
yeah,
So Laura,
most of the
Angela, go ahead.
Yeah, most of the schools have gone to, virtual job fairs, and we did one and it was terrible. So I don't think it was worth our time, but I think you have to be, we try to be very targeted in the schools, and as opposed to just like go to all the schools. Pick the ones, if you're looking for somebody like in a to grow with your company and in like a key position, get to the school that has that, the hospitality program or whatever it might be. And then what we found is successful is you meet the people at the job fair, and then you schedule like a dinner that night, and you invite people to come to dinner with you after the career fair. So the career fair itself is kind of whatever, but that helps you figure out like who's really interested, who's going to come. We're going to pay for your dinner. We're going to maybe give you one drink, get to know you a little bit, and that's where you really build like connections and relationships with students and people that you want to bring on board, as opposed to the I haven't found the virtual fairs to be successful, so I'm looking forward to getting back in person with people.
Okay, Laura, any extended kind of networking that you have thought about as just been an outreach for you in Wilson Creek?
I would say that, we do offer paid internships for certain positions. So we've found our partnership with some local schools, including culinary institutes, have resulted in a few, certainly, paid internships, and they turned into employees that, are here still with us. And so I, especially in the vineyard, people who are interested in those really kind of specialty types of roles, that's really where it pays off. I think I would definitely take a look at that if you were ever interested in, again, a very specialty niche kind of position. You find someone who's really dedicated and motivated and wants to grow within a company, start them out as a paid intern, and you can really kind of mold them into what it is exactly that you need in your organization. But
that's a great idea too, especially for some of you that are non-hospitality related. If it works in the hospitality industry for specialty positions, it could for your departments or your companies as well. So along those lines, on just the outreach, I know the chamber and the city put together the job fair over at the mall, and this was months ago, and I attended that, and I was very surprised on the numerous industry that was there. And so I went by and talked to some folks, just because I'm in the hospitality industry, I seem to just gravitate to the folks that were there. And I know that Laura, you had a representation there. I think your assistant was there, and a couple of other wineries were there. And I spoke to people afterwards, and they made hires from that. But what's really interesting, the stories that I heard, because at least one winery said, I started talking to a gentleman that was actually there looking for an accounting job somewhere. And I found out he has a son who's in school, and he's looking for his first job, and I have a busser's job. And so it was like, not that he, that contact that he made, but if you're going to do the job fair, because I believe there's another one coming up, Brooke, is that correct? Do you want to share the date?
Yes, it's actually coming up Saturday, March 19th.
Okay.
And we have right now over 60 different businesses that are coming out. It's been very, very popular. A lot of, and it's a wide range of different size businesses, industries. If anyone is interested in coming out, they can send an email to employerservices@rivco.org. Sorry.
Employer services at rivco.org.
Yes. And I'll put it in the chat as well.
Okay.
So thank you.
All right. And I see there's a few more chats and or questions. I'll get to those in just a minute here. So that along those lines, if you do go to those, don't sit behind the table. Get out in front of the table, walking by, saying hello, having something to give them to remember your company, because not everybody, they'll walk by your table. They'll just walk by that. They won't come to your table. And if you're there because you're trying to fill some very important positions, get out. Don't even have a chair. Just get in the front. Start talking to people, because it's those connections. And that's what I heard worked really well with the folks I spoke to. They were out front. They were not sitting just waiting for somebody to come and get a tchotchke off the table, because that doesn't utilize the best part of your time. Let me take a look at one of these questions that we see. Let's see.
It's all about TikTok.
It all to TikTok. Yeah, TikTok. I think it's all about TikTok. All right. So we all know that that's going to be an important tool, I think, as we go forward.
Sorry.
And, yeah. And Brooke did note in the chat box the information on that. And I would say it's a Saturday, right, Brooke? And it's they close down the area if they're going to do it in the same area in front of the theater at the mall. And so you've got a lot of traffic, and there's a lot of promotion that goes on. And so if you've never done this before and you're just still struggling from a hiring perspective, there's no better way to get out. And if it's your company, you be the representative out there, out front, in front of the table, trying to make those connections. And along those lines, take some information about your company, how they can contact you, maybe even a little bit of information about a job that you might have that you're trying to fill. So yeah, it's not just all about the candy and the goodies. You're there you're on a mission.
If you have an application like processed through a link or an ATS, that's like some application, if you can have a way to even text that to somebody, the link while they're there, they all use their phones. So if you can text them, here's the link, here, open it, make sure you can open it. Don't let them leave until you get them engaged.
Yeah, the one gentleman that hired 3 people and hired the son of the one gentleman he was speaking to, he had actually physical applications. Whatever it takes, it's just a matter of trying to find out who they are so you can follow up with them, especially if you really were interested in them and they were interested in you. So thank you for the feedback on that too. All right, another question that I have is that more than about a third in this recruiting study of candidates said they'd be willing to take a pay cut to learn new skills. And so for Angela and Laura, have you found that the ability to provide upskilling, for lack of a better description, which is learning a new skill, a new position, so taking somebody on similar to what you do, Laura, with your intern, is a driver to help fill the positions that you have? So Angela, we'll start with you on this one, and then we'll move over to Laura.
Yeah, so we've actually added quite a few positions. So we had for us, we have banquet captains who help captain the event, and then we up from there it's a pretty big jump to go to like a manager in training or a sales position or something different. So we actually created a position in between those two to just be able to give them like a little bit, like $1 extra an hour, you know, 1/2 day a week. They're going to start scheduling and doing like very small things. So they're going to be primarily doing their other job that they were doing before, but now we're going to just give you a new job title. We're going to give you like a 1/2 day of like admin work so that you feel like engaged and like you're learning more. And then the positions that we've added to kind of account for the attrition that you're seeing right now, you know, the turnover, and ours is relatively low, but we've added additional full-time entry-level positions and just said, you know, we'll train you. This is our entry-level role. Here's the career path. We made a 1-pager that shows the career path from every single position. It's very simple, but like you can see it. Here's what you can do. You can do this, you can do this, you can do this. So yeah, I think, you know, those taking those entry-level people and giving them a path and then just maybe a little more responsibility has been really successful to retain people for us.
Okay, thank you. Laura, do you have anything to add to that on how you're seeing even candidates that might come in that were making more but really want to work for you? And do you give them this vision that they can come in and learn something completely different from Wilson Creek Winery?
We definitely do. So we have a pretty clear career path, specifically in what would be those front of the house roles. We start, and we do this as much as we possibly can. We're pretty successful as we start an individual at what's called the fit host, the person who kind of, when you walk on property, they greet you and they show you where to go. And, you know, they ask you questions and they're fun and they're friendly. You move directly from a fit host into what would be a cashier position. You move in, you know, into the tasting room and then you're, you know, a cashier and you're learning kind of the wines a little bit more and you're seeing how crazy it is in there and, you know, getting acclimated. Then you move to a bar back, then you move to that server. Because everybody wants to be a server, right? And so we are very clear from the beginning that if someone comes in and they don't really have appropriate experience, but they really want to be a bar back, we tell them, here's where we do have availability for you, and here's what that would look like, and here's what an approximate time frame would be for you to move into that role of your choice. Also, we did do kind of a relatively large restructure recently, and that resulted in those kind of intermediate roles. The same thing, Angela, you said, is that we've created more of an assistant manager role in several different areas, lead roles in several different areas. So it does give people the opportunity to move up.
Okay. I have seen recently that people are applying, they're changing careers, and they're willing to take a pay cut to get into a new career. And I think 2020 and 2021 changed people dramatically in ways that, you know, differ to the individual. But for sure, people have been changed, and it. I think we're going to see, I'm starting to see just a different candidate that's applying for positions that was making more, but they don't want the commute. They just refuse. They will, after 2020 and 21, they said, I'll never get back on that freeway. And so they're willing to take these cuts in positions for opportunity to stay local. And so if you have a local business and you have a career path clearly kind of drawn out, as Laura described, that could help you because you might not be able to fill the position immediately. But if you could bring somebody in who had other, what I call skills that can be bridged. So, you know, they might have been in another industry, but they could work in your industry because you have to see it on the resume and see it in the individual. So that might be something that would be helpful for your recruiting if you're having trouble because you're looking for just something specific to in manufacturing or pharmaceutical or automobile or hospitality or any, you know, anything specific. If you kind of broaden your perspective on the resume and see if they can do something different because people don't want to get on the road anymore. Yeah, that's just what I'm seeing.
I think in general, you know, since post-COVID, work-life balance has like become way more important to people than it ever has been. And so whatever ways you can find to help them with that and create that for people, I think that for us, it's a lot more important than money for some of the people we're hiring.
Yeah. Angela, I mean, Laura, Laura and Angela, have you lost people over this time? And when they left and you had a chance to do exit interviews, why were they leaving? Let's say just even in this last year, 2021, what were they leaving for, curiously?
Well,
We
work-life,
haven't.
yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no, that's, yeah.
Go ahead, Laura.
Go ahead.
We haven't seen a change. I mean, but again, our demographic of employee is a little different, right? The majority of our staff leaves to go to school, or to start that career, whatever that may be outside of hospitality. I have not, no, within Wilson Creek, I have not seen a difference as to why people are leaving. But we also didn't have those massive changes of everybody work remote and then come back or maybe go back. I think that's certainly, where that's more prevalent, but not personally, no.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Angela,
we
how
do.
about you?
We do exit interviews for our full-time key employees. We send a survey, an exit survey. And over the past year, I haven't seen a huge change in our retention. We haven't seen a ton of turnover, but work-life balance is number one. So for us, for any of you who have businesses where you have to work weekends, I mean, you can't really change that. However, you can make sure that everybody gets one full weekend off a month. Or you can make sure that you hire extra part-timers so that when they request the time off, you can actually give it to them. So there's still things you can do, not communicating with people outside of work hours. so that they don't feel like they can't get away. Because some of those things are just perceived, right? Like I work all the time because people are texting me or asking me questions. So we've looked at those things that we can control. And I think, when we look at the hours people are working, they're not working more than 40 hours, but they're there on the weekends when their friends are doing things. They're getting text messages when they're off of work. So those are the things I think we can all work on to, create better balance for people.
Mm-hmm. All right, I do have it. Thank you, ladies. I have a question from Wendy. She's regarding the contingency clause. She said we had a person start, but not only couldn't get her to go for the drug test, she also never brought in her paperwork for the I-9. So we let her go after 3 days, and she filed for unemployment. Didn't get it, but I had to deal with that. So any comment from Laura or Angela on the kind of a contingency hire and what your thoughts are on that?
Well, I will say that is definitely something that happens. So,
Wendy, that just happens.
Yeah, it definitely happens. But you did the right thing. That's the only thing I could say is that absolutely, if that person can't, get the paperwork in and can't, find the time to do something, then you 100% did the right thing. And yes, it takes more time, but you are not alone.
No, and it's painful, but it's better than investing, 30 days training the person and then they leave. It's almost better that they just exit themselves out prior to you having to deal with it.
Yeah. Okay. We are coming to the end of the session. Are there any questions from those that are participating today that you haven't put into the chat box? Any other questions? Okay, do you want to remind the group, and I know, Brooke, you'll put this out to your group, and I think, Michelle, you might be putting it out to the Visit Temecula Valley, because we want to thank both the Chamber and Visit Temecula Valley for putting this together. There are 2 more sessions, next Friday and the following. Next Friday is onboarding ideas to create lasting employee relationships. Ken, I'll get you in just a second here. And then the last one on the 25th is retention, keeping employees fulfilled and connected, because we do all that hard work to get them hired and then we want them to stay. So I hope you'll join us on the next 2 Fridays from 8 to 9. And Ken, you had a question.
Yeah, has there been any work with our representatives about maybe revamping the unemployment system that we have so it's a little bit better in dealing with the instances like Wendy was dealing with? Are you getting people that are applying for positions just to get an interview so they can prove that they can stay on unemployment, right? So I think the reporting system from the employer side can be better to where the EDD has more information when dealing with the employees. So I don't know if there is any action with our representatives to kind of address that, because the pandemic kind of proved how much fraud there is in our system. So not to
Yeah, Brooke, I'll turn to you on that because that might be an area of your that you'd be able to best answer. Any feedback for Ken on that?
You know, the first thing that comes to mind, Ken, is I want to get your contact information. I'd love to get you connected with our Southwest Legislative Council. Oh, okay, there we go. Awesome. Yeah,
I
I'll
can
get
send
you
it to you as
connected.
well.
Yeah, thank you. And I'll get you
I know where he
connected.
lives.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're right. I think they're so far into the weeds with the unemployment fraud. It'll probably take years and years to sort all of that out. But you're right, because the effort, like Wendy's case, she brings somebody in, she legitimately lets them go, and yet you've got to spend the time to, file or respond. And if you don't respond, yeah, there's a lot to hiring. We hire with anticipation. Like I say, hire with intention, not just because they're fogging a mirror. We really want to hire right, but we don't always know who we have on board until they get on board. You're doing your best through the interview process. If just I think we're just out of time now, but I appreciate having everybody on the call. I hope that we'll see you next Friday and the following. We have different speakers on each call, different HR experts from our Valley. And so I'd like to again thank Angela and Laura for taking an hour, I know, of your very busy time, and I appreciate that so much. And I wish everybody a wonderful day today. Thank you. Thank you, Brooke, for setting it up. I appreciate it.